So with relationships, I think a lot of the times when we meet people, and you hear this a lot in social media, and you can vet partners. You can say, I notice XYZ tendency in such person, and I don't want to get close. Or sometimes they'll actually lay everything out in front of you. They'll actually tell you everything. I don't like to use the word red flag, but I mean, if someone is open, that's a beautiful thing, and it's authentic and it's honest. But the question is, if you know um, that these things exist, which a lot of us do, right? There's characteristics in other people that we can see will be problematic down the road. Um, why do we still go into it? And if we get into a situation which is then um, not conducive, why do we stay with it? So this, without going into attachment theory and things like that, is in my experience, what I found was that it has a lot to do with the harsh inner critic that you have in your mind. So if you had caregivers who predicated affection on your performance, then you will sort of look for that in the other person. You will want to perform. You will start to become less authentic. Um, and similarly, you may have other inner voices. But this is the bit I really want to talk about, right? We all know about the harsh inner critic, and a lot of people say, "Oh, it's the voice of your mother, or it's the voice of your father." But when you, as a meditator, um, I'm quite accustomed to tuning into how I hear my internal world, how I not hear, but how I experience my internal world. It's That's what meditation does. You sit down, you get really quiet, you bring the awareness internally. So the awareness goes internally, and you start to notice how your mind forms impressions. So the thing is, when we talk about the harsh inner critic, my thought was that there's always a voice, like there's a set of words or there's a voice of somebody. But that wasn't the case. That wasn't the case for me at all, because I wouldn't hear the voice of someone who was critical of me or who told me I wasn't good enough. I would actually experience this as feelings, so as contractions, sort of the heart contracting. So when an impression comes up, it's not so much that there's a voice speaking to you. In my own mind, my mind works quite insidiously in terms of these impressions. Sitting in meditation, I noticed that when any kind of impression comes up, it comes up as this very quick succession of very grainy images. They're very grainy, but they're barely noticeable to my conscious mind. And what happens is that these things play very quickly, and suddenly there's a feeling. There's a sense of contraction, right? So how do you where I'm going with what I'm trying to get to with this is recognizing the harsh inner critic, right? In these situations, because the harsh inner critic keeps us in those situations. It tells you you're not good enough, you can't do any better. If you don't perform, this person will leave you. These are kind of the theoretically the voices, but you don't hear them. I don't hear them as voices. I don't hear the voice. I just have an impression, and then I find myself acting, right, in a certain way. I don't have the voice of someone kind who's saying to me, no, you know what? It's okay. It's okay. You don't need to. You don't need to perform. You don't need to do all this. Um, so how do you firstly recognize the harsh inner critic, and then what do you do once you've recognized it? Because it's quite insidious. I mean, at least for me, it is. I don't know what it's like for other people. Um, so what I started to find was I started to kind of reverse engineer things. I'm quite a shy person, and I won't put myself forward for things because I don't want to be in the limelight. And this again is the harsh inner critic, right? So when something comes up, um, so at the monastery that I attend, they have a ceremony where they offer the meal to the monks, and they invite lay people to come and help. And I've been going to this monastery for about 20 years. And I know the monks, and they're all very nice people. But when the announcement's made, something in me just contracts. There's a part which says, "Go on," and there isn't a voice that says, "No, don't do it." It's just it's like a contraction in the heart, which is like, "No," and it stops me. You know, and this I started to notice was the harsh inner critic, which has bypassed. It's actually bypassed something verbal or something visual, and it's just coming in as a contraction. Is just like, even at a kinesthetic level, it's just someone just holding you back and saying, nope, they're not going to do it. And the key is to notice when this happens with this sort of thing, whether it's, standing up in a position where you'll be seen, or standing up for yourself and saying, no, I won't do this, right? Because these things become so embedded that they're no longer a conscious voice, or the voice of your father, or the voice of your mother, or the voice of your teacher, which says, no, no, you aren't good enough, don't come forward. Or um, if you don't perform, I won't love you, and I'll abandon you, right? That it's not so recognizable. So at least for me, it was important to start noticing this at the level of just these contractions in the heart. And once this contraction comes up, then you can bring the voice of you, the friend, the benevolent voice, which says, no, go ahead, nothing's going to happen, it's safe. No one's going to reprimand you for doing something wrong, or not wanting to do something because it's not convenient for you. It's convenient for the other person, it might not be convenient for you. No, no, they won't stop loving you. And if they do stop loving you, then what kind of love is that? It's predicated on performance. So what I wanted to try and get across here was that the inner critic, or the voice of the inner critic, is not um, something that's easy to recognize, or something that's just blatant and that's just out there. When you've lived with the inner critic for decades, in some people's cases, or lifetimes, um, then it's become so embedded into your mind body system that it's no longer a voice which fires, it's just something that just holds you back. And if you're not conscious, then you don't even know that it's holding you back.